everybody, this is GamePro24X, and today we're going to be talking about the event. Now, I'm sorry it's a little bit like a week late. We still have a week left, but I feel necessary to talk about it. But it's not very similar to the previous event because of how the missions are structured and such. So it's basically the same exact thing as what we dealt with last time, except that, well, it's just pertaining to only the daily missions and the weekly missions. And doesn't matter which one you do, they both give you the same amount of BP. So if you find the daily missions a lot easier than the weekly missions, then you can just do those instead of just the weekly. And last week, the weekly mission was kind of a pain because of Fortified, and this week's weekly mission also has Fortified as well, along with some other goodies to help kind of tip the favor in your odds. So up to you if you want to do that, but if you rely on the dailies, though, you have better map rotations and just different things going on in general. However, it seems that whenever it comes to Extreme, it's always the same thing. It always gives you Firestorm, or whatever the hell it's called, to give you Fire Wanderers. So let's have a quick look at all the rewards. So you get the Otaku Spirit nameplate. Now, you just get the normal base one for just playing it. To actually get the Bronze, Silver, and Gold variants, you need to place at certain rankings throughout the whole event, and at the end of the event, if you're like top 10, you get the gold, top 100 silver, and then top 1000 you get bronze. So that's how you get it. Other than that, we have an additional costume. It's a hat, and it's Ricky, it's the cat, and the rest of it is just material cases. So in total, you're going to need to be grinding 150,000 BP to earn everything. So normal will always give you 780 BP, hard will give you 1263 BP, and extreme will give you 2400 BP. And of course the booster itself will give you 3 times the amount. So here's a quick list of what you're expecting to see if you're doing this to get all the items that are available for this event. So they rack up pretty high, but if you are considering on just only doing extreme because you actually know how to do it, be wary that it takes about 45 minutes to almost an hour to complete one session. So, I mean, it will give you a whole lot of points, don't get me wrong, but, you know, even though you have lower runs, it still takes a long time. It still takes a lot out of you, so always keep that in mind. And I also took the liberty of making a separate list because this is practically what I'm going to do, is I'm just only getting all the rewards up to the final SV coin, and that's practically at the 35,000 mark. So if any of you just wants to get that and just doesn't really care about the rest, like the rest of the material cases and whatnot, then you can just easily go for this. And this is a lot easier and a lot more better to maintain and obtain for many people. As you can see with the booster or without the booster, you're looking at very, very minimal runs. And that includes everything up to Ricky and of course the final SV coins. So again, if you just want to do that instead, that would probably be in your best interest if you don't have much time or you don't want to actually, you know, play the event that much. Now, as I stated earlier, the BP amount does not change whether you do the dailies or the weeklies. So if you find the dailies a lot more easier to do, then definitely do the dailies, because there have been a few dailies that have passed and we were able to have better mob control and such due to the maps itself. So I highly encourage doing that. There's really nothing wrong. The only main difference between dailies and extreme are the drop rates for epics and whatnot. That's literally it. If you kind of don't care about epics and just want to get the BP and be done with it, then just do dailies. But if you really do care about epics, then you really want to just do the weekly extreme mode, if anything. That way you have a much higher chance of walking away with more than one epic at a time. Because the daily extremes also give you one epic as well. But again, the weekly will give you more higher chances of getting other cool stuff as well, along with just more materials and whatnot. Now, in terms of strategy, well, since the maps kind of rotate often, there's really not too much I could really say for one video, because that's going to require multiple different videos for multiple different maps, because every map kind of needs a specific setup for specific things. But all I can really tell you is that right now, currently, the meta is slowly changing, and it's slowly changing towards Assault's favor, because on the Assault class tree, you guys have the ability to use this thing called a decoy knuckle. And that basically, you use your power and you're able to attract a lot of enemies from a pretty large radius to come after you. And essentially, once you've played this game long enough, you start to realize that you don't really have to kill that many enemies, aside from earning enough individual points so that the game doesn't consider you AFK, which is around 2,000 or so. Other than that, you really don't have to fight, unless it's a mortar, or a tracker, or a bomber. Other than that, you just play keep away the whole time. Now, fortunately for all of you, I actually made a nice little roadmap detailing on how you can achieve this type of gameplay, or this game style, and you'll be able to essentially earn a lot of rewards without having to work too hard at all. So let's take a look at all the steps that you need to do to ascend to godhood in Metal Gear Survive. Alright, so the first stage for any player playing Metal Gear Survive, we all went through it, and that is, of course, you just place down traps and you kill mobs. Simple, not very hard to do, but later on you start to realize that the game is not as simple as everyone makes it out to be. Alright, so step 2, you then start to learn the AI and their spawning patterns. Because despite whoever you kill, if you manage to kill groups pretty quickly, you'll start to figure out that they all just keep spawning in certain patterns over and over again. Meaning that you're able to go out and gank those spawns over and over again and not really have to worry. So generally, at this stage in a lot of players' playtime, they try to kill everything as fast as possible, but they also maintain the traps and whatnot just in case. Now step 3 is a doozy, because not a whole lot of players even mastered this yet. But basically, you then have to learn how to coordinate with a team, and you place traps and defenses at certain key points for better mob control and killing efficiency. Because once you study the map and you study where all the enemies are going to go and what you're expecting to fight when you actually do that, you'll start to realize that you only need certain things for certain maps. But again, this is something that a lot of players struggle with. Now, once you got through the third step hurdle, which again, a lot of the majority of the player base is still stuck at, then you actually start becoming a little bit more elite. So this is when you slowly start to figure out that you don't actually have to kill anything, but you only just play keep away and you use the traps and coupon crystals to help do that. So if you throw a coupon crystal while you're playing in the salvage mission, they will actually turn towards it and start running towards where you threw it. So it's a good way to help, keep mobs under control and keep them away. However, if they run into the red zone of the drill, they no longer are distracted by that, and you will have to use other means to actually distract them. Alright, so step 5 is when you actually start tapping into that full potential of being a really good Survive player. So, this is what step 5 is. Through observation, planning, and practice, you can play keep away very effectively with your team by just using minimal defenses and using coupon crystals, lures, and assault's decoy knuckle, and mobs will never touch drill aside from dealing with mortars, bombers, and trackers. Because even though you can, so to speak, distract them, it's best to actually get rid of them, because due to how the spawns are, if you actually kill a lot of these mobs, normal trash wanderers will spawn in their stead, and you'll end up having a situation where you have nothing but wanderers throughout your whole game, and they're just sitting there, just trying to reach you, chase you, whatever. And that's what you want to achieve. And I actually have a video example of this, and I'll show you guys it right now. Alright, so this was a session I was doing last night before the maintenance went up with my friends. It was just the 3 of us. And while I was distracting all the mobs, and yes, this is all the mobs in the first wave, my other 2 teammates were busy fighting Big Mouth. And we were playing this on hard. So just me, by myself, was able to just kite and keep enemies away long enough for them to actually fight Big Mouth without having to worry about defending the drill or anything like that. Because the first wave, even on Extreme, the first wave is just very simple mobs. So this is what you would normally do, and this is what you'd want to strive for if you want to actually achieve godhood.
Oh shit. Punk bitch shot me up.
Now I know I make it look easy, but trust me, I've seen a lot of players try to do what I do, and they die pretty often, and pretty damn quick. So this is a technique that you really need to practice and master before you can really then fully get to the next stage. Now, I would say this is the stage where I'm at. We're at stage 6 now. So this is when you have practically mastered the technique of kiting and distracting. And I'll just go ahead and just read you what I have written down here. So you fully mastered all the spawn patterns and lure enemies to a point where they never touch you and will only very rarely try to leave, without relying on defenses and only using decoy knuckle, lures, and coupon crystals, along with scrapper pants, as it has a skill that increases the coupon crystal carry limit. Meanwhile, other teammates deal with the bosses, special enemies, and side ops, leaving the remainder of playtime for you and your team to kick back and fuck around. So, I'm not joking when I say this, because when you actually fully understand this and you actually, like, masterfully get the crowd's attention and put them in a spot where they can't really touch you and they're always just trying to grab you, it's perfect. Like, you just stand there and you do nothing and you do nothing but win. Now, I don't really use lures that much. I only just use the decoy knuckle and the coupon crystals, and I don't even have the scrapper pants yet. But I'm just saying, if you use all of these and you have all of these, then you're doing a lot better than me. But I think you can actually do this without using lures too much if you actually know what you're doing. Now, for those who are curious on what this demigod-like state looks like, it looks just like this. So they're all trying to reach us, and when they try to walk away, I just toss a coupon crystal, or if I just use my decoy knuckle, they'll come towards me. And yes, the throwing efficiency does work with the coupon crystals as well, so it's very important to use that type of skill. But yeah, you just sit here and you just keep on distracting them until the timer runs out, or until you have enough iris to actually leave with an S rank.
Oh shit!
Jesus, the whole thing's jigging out over here at the base.
Oh fuck.
Now then, we have finally done it. We have finally reached the final stage, and we are now a god of Metal Gear Survive. So, you achieve all this solo, and having extreme mode be a cakewalk as you fuck off while banking on all the coupon and epics as you can, no longer needing teammates and only dealing with bosses between waves, and sniping special enemies while luring the crowds that will never touch or leave you. And that basically sums it up. Now, this is possible on like Fallen Village, because that's probably one of the easiest to do, maybe on the airport as well, but I don't really think I know many people who can easily solo extreme with using very minimal defenses and having just full-on mob control. So once you get to this stage, you're unstoppable. You can literally just walk right on into extreme, have the confidence and the knowledge to actually do it by yourself, and you can just forever farm coupon or epics or whatever. But it takes a lot of skill, a lot of dedication, and a lot of practice to achieve this state. So like I said, me and a very few others are at stage 6. We've yet to achieve stage 7. For any of you who are at stage 7, I would love to see a video confirming that. Other than that, that's basically the steps of how to become a god in Metal Gear Survive, using just decoys and lures. Now, I will actually make a more detailed video on every single map. That way, for those who are at stage 6, you're able to now have a much more efficient and much more easier time on those maps, and you won't really have to struggle too much, because most of the time we're going to be playing with friends. We're really not going to be playing alone. That is until we some of us achieve godhood. Then we'll be playing solo. But for now, I think it's best for the community to try to focus on figuring out a really good strat and a really good plan and a really good pattern for every other map. That way we can then better lay a better roadmap for everyone else. So that about covers it for the event. I hope my little roadmap here kind of gave you guys a better idea on a better way to play the game, and just newer strats for you guys to actually play around with and enjoy. This event, again, will end after the end of this week, and I hope you guys get what you need and be done with it. That about sums it up. So, if you like my content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to check out my Patreon if you want, and you can also check out my Discord if you ever want to hop right on in and chill or look for people to play with and whatnot. Always appreciate that. This is GamePro24X, and I will see you guys later.
Mission complete, and how? They're gonna tell stories about this one, boss.